Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder self-charging electric hybrid vehicle. Now that's a long name, which means we have much to talk about, including the tech. Now, before we decode this Hyryder, let's understand what a hybrid or a strong hybrid does. It offers a fuel efficiency of 27.97 km per liter, which means in a journey towards electrification, a strong hybrid is probably the smart answer to this green, sustainable world. Let's talk about the design now. This is a trapezoidal design which has got air intakes. There are air intakes here also. Now this is an acrylic, but it looks like carbon fiber. Now this chrome strip, which actually merges in the center with the Toyota badging, looks quite distinct. These are twin LED DRLs. This is a LED projector lamp. Overall, the design looks very different than Grand Vitara, if that's what you want to hear. Now this is a very different looking car. Now the best part is, when you get the indicators, both these twin lights blink. Let's take a side angle view. 17-inch tire profile with disc brakes on all the four tires. There's this nice cladding which goes all the way down to the rear tires. There's also a chrome strip which runs right up to the quarter glass from the rear. There's also a keyless entry which works very well because it's very handy. Toyota calls it smart entry and exit. Now I also love the C-pillar quarter glass, which is quite spacious. Overall, it's a very nice, neat side profile. Until you move to the rear, you will be seeing a very thick chrome strapping with the Toyota logo on the middle, right on your face. If you love chrome, you love the rear design. But overall, it's very neat with the clear badging of Urban Cruiser Hyryder. That's the only place perhaps it's written here. Hybrid is in all the sides, on the sideways, both the sideways and right here, which means that they're emphasizing more on the hybrid, and that's what it's all about. It has a nice roof spoiler with actually two C-shaped lights. This is a very clear C. There's a C inside the light, so it's very thoughtful of the Toyota. Let me show you the boot. Now this is how you'll pack up. Smart cladding here where you can slide in your laptop bags, and if you remove this, again you can put some big bag. But overall, I don't think boot space is something big which is given because of the battery. It has taken a lot of space. We don't even know the official capacity of the boot. There's no auto tailgate function here. Let's move to the rear seat. Interestingly, it's the longest car in its segment, but the wheelbase is in fact shorter than the Creta by 10 mm. So you see, this leg room is very decent. It's not really very huge, but it's very decent. And this panoramic sunroof gives it a lot of breathing space. There's a central armrest. The seats are very well positioned. I love the seat position actually. It's quite holds you back in a very, very nice way. And this transmission tunnel is not too elated, so which means the third person can squeeze in very well. There are these charging ducts here, which is A-type and C-type, which is good. There's a magazine rack here. There's this piano black finish here. Overall, the interior from the rear looks more rich, more refined. And there's this cooling duct here, which is basically to cool the battery pack, which is right underneath this. The dashboard layout of the Urban Cruiser Hyryder is treated with dual-tone brown and black interiors, wherein the brown-colored soft-touch materials give a good appeal to the cabin along with the chrome accents, further adding elegance to the dash layout. The steering wheel comes with numerous controls on the wheel and is quite neatly put together. And the 9-inch infotainment system is well positioned and gives out all the necessary information. The brightness and the fonts are married very well on the screen. The significant offering, though, the physical AC controls are something more accessible and practical to use. The seats also get the brown and black treatment, just like its dashboard. Okay, the Hyryder comes with a head-up display which shows you minimalistic information. For example, the speed at which you're going, the time and the mode. Talking about modes, you also get two driving modes. One is an eco and then there's power mode. Honestly, you can't really make a difference because to me it feels the same. The acceleration feels the same. There's no change in steering grip or the chassis or anything like that. Even the graphics don't change. It's just a small sign which comes and tells you that you're in power mode. But to me it feels the same. Now there's very interesting third mode, which is called the EV mode. Now in EV mode, the car runs only on electric, but there are a few prerequisites. For example, it cannot go beyond 40 kilometers to 30 kilometers per hour. That's the top speed that you can go. It cannot even go beyond 2 to 3 kilometer range max, depending on the level of the battery. The battery needs to be at 50 to 60% charge. Now you should ask me, why will you ever use the EV mode? Imagine you want to sneak out of your house silently, you can do that because the car is drop dead silence. If you're passing by a church, temple, you want to be very silent about it, you can use that mode. But in a practical life, I don't think that you'll be using that more often. Now, talking about acceleration, the acceleration, even if you press very hard, will leave you a lot desired because it's not something, it's not an enthusiastic car. Let's be very plain, simple, and outright about that. It is a car that you can drive in the city and sometimes go to the highway. Now, talking about highway, if you think that you can go from Bombay to Delhi in a highway and expect a fuel efficiency of 27 km per liter, that's not happening. The claimed fuel efficiency is 27.95, but the instrument cluster in front of you gives you all the information. The moment you drive harder, which means that only the engine is being used, that's when the fuel efficiency drops to about 17.5, 18 kilometer to a liter. So that means it doesn't really solve that purpose. But yes, when you're driving in the city at small speed limits, then you get a good mileage. So it's basically meant for a city car where you're driving in traffic conditions, because that's when the engine and the motor synchronize very well and gives you that fuel efficiency. Talking about engine noise, talking about the cabin noise, there is decent amount of noise which seeps into your cabin. In fact, even the ventilated seats, which is a very welcome change because both the passenger and the co-passenger gets a ventilated seats, and the moment I press the ventilated seats, the noise of the engine cabin goes up. It's like you've put a fan on. Now that's something that they could have really worked on it. Apart from that, it really cools your entire body very fast, and in our tropical climate, it's something that is required from a car of this stature, but they could have done something with the noise. Even the engine grunt which comes inside is not very sophomoric, or you would like to hear that, because it looks like a rubber band trying to hold it, and the noise is not really welcome to your ears. But in terms of driving comfort, if you ask me, the driving height is spot on, maneuverability is very good. Even in the corners, the suspension is not too bad, not too good, it's about average, but maybe on the good side. But if you drive very hard over very broken surfaces, then of course you will not get that thing. The braking, you get all the disc brakes. The brakes are, I would say, about average. You do get brakes on point. You get a lot of data while you're driving. The infotainment system gets you the fuel efficiency, gets you how the flow of power is happening, what's your level of battery in the car, how it's being charged. So when the battery is very down, and the moment you lift your leg off the pedal, the charging stops. So for example, that time the engine kicks in, but otherwise the battery gets self-charged, which is what, again, every time you basically accelerate, some horsepower is coming from the motors all the time. So which gives you additional boost, additional horsepower, and gives it that strong hybrid feeling. Now, we drove the car for a long time, and the more you drive, the more comfortable you feel. The sitting position is actually very, very nice. The seats really hug you very well. The quality of the seats is also very nice. It's a very dark beige finish, which is good. It's not as spongy as probably a Brezza, but it feels good on your back. The Hyryder also comes in a mild hybrid format, but what we are driving right now is a strong hybrid, which has 3 cylinders, 1.5 liter, and gives 91 horsepower and 120 Nm of torque, which is from the engine. Now again, then you get additional power from the battery basically, which is 79 horsepower and 144 Nm of torque. Combined output is 115 horsepower, which isn't really praiseworthy when compared with its rivals, but it works on a lithium battery and gives that much needed boost. So you don't really feel the lag of it, but it is going to be bought for the fuel efficiency, for driving comfort, and for that it gets the job pretty much done. Toyotas are known globally to make great hybrid cars. So on that front, we really don't need to raise an eyebrow. But if you're looking to drive this enthusiastically, then this might leave you a bit unsatisfied. But if you're looking to drive it on city and looking for fuel efficiency and don't really want to get bulldozed by a diesel engine, then Hyryder may be a way to go. Do drop in the comments what you feel about this car. Do let us know what you think is going to price, because I think it's going to be a really price sensitive car. If they launch in the right price, then this could just be the car we want between an EV and between a diesel engine or a petrol engine or between a IC engine for that matter. Do drop in the comments also what you would like us to compare this with. And the next one, you take care.